I see my name in shining lights. Yeah, a different city every night. Oh, I swear the world better prepare for when I'm a billionaire.
It's time to get down to business on the weekend's #1 business program. Known as the King of Networking, your host, Shalom Klein, has worked with thousands of entrepreneurs and created countless jobs. So, to success, let's get down to business.
And indeed, we're all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. In business, we talk a lot about business here. You're on with Get Down to Business, and I'm your host, Shalom Klein. Remember, you can always download podcasts from Get Down to Business on my website at shalomklein.com. And while you're there, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Shalom Klein. It's going to be a jam-packed week of content and information you'll not want to miss. So let's jump right in. I'm thrilled to be joined by Elena Whisler, Senior Vice President of Sales and Relationship Management at the Clearinghouse. And I know Elena, again, as the Senior Vice President, is responsible for customer relationship, sales, and marketing teams. And we're going to talk all about the important work of the Clearinghouse. Elena, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Let's start with a big question up front. Tell us about yourself and the Clearinghouse. What is it that you guys do?
Yeah, great question. It's kind of one of the hidden gems sometimes in banking and payments. So the Clearinghouse is a U.S.-based payments operation company. We actually were founded about 170 years ago. And what we do is we clear and settle ACH transactions, wire transactions, check images, and real-time payments. We process more than $2 trillion a day. So just to give a sense of kind of the money that flows through our networks. And what we really do is we have a long track record of providing secure and reliable payment systems innovation. We focus a lot on strategic thought leadership for financial institutions here in the US. And then we collaborate a lot and work with industry regulators and associations to facilitate that dialogue, right, to move forward in the industry that we have today. So that's a little bit about the Clearinghouse. And then as you mentioned, I look after our customers and prospects as well as marketing. And we reach out to them, make sure that they have what they need from a U.S. payment system and network. And we look to evolve and grow that customer engagement going forward.
Wow, amazing. It's not often that you hear the words innovation and 170 years old in the same conversation.
That's right.
That's a staggering, a couple of staggering numbers over there. 170-year-old company that's processing, like you said, more than $2 trillion with a T dollars each day through wire, ACH, check image, and real-time payments through the RTP network. And that's the term I want to follow up on over here. Mm-hmm. What is the RTP network and how is it different from ACH, which some of our listeners are a little bit more familiar with?
Yeah, I'm sure they are. So we launched the RTP network 4 years ago, actually, this week. So it's perfect timing, or 5 years ago, sorry. And it is the newest payment system that provides instant clearing and settlement. So the fundamental difference that we look at is a couple-fold. One is these are individual messages that go through the network immediately. So think about you and I paying each other, or small businesses receiving funds, right? Receiving their invoices or paying their invoices or paying their staff. That can happen in real time. So instant payment, instant confirmation. And the money moves between all parties instantly. So between the individuals or businesses and the financial institutions. In ACH, that is usually, it is a lag in terms of when the money moves and when it settles, which means when it's available to the individuals and the businesses. And that's on purpose because they're scheduled payments or they are meant for a particular point in time. So when you send your funds and you receive it tomorrow, that's perfectly fine because that's the expectation amongst the parties. And so that, when I look at the difference, it's talking about immediate confirmation, and it's talking about immediate settlement between all parties in the flow.
Sure. And specifically, I'm really, really fascinated again by RTP and its benefits, specifically for the small business community, for entrepreneurs folks that are trying to grow their business, trying to improve their teams. And I know that you and your team over at the Clearinghouse, you're very focused on another acronym, which we'll throw into this conversation, which is EWA, Earned Wage Access. So what is it that is sort of really important that small business owners tuning in to Get Down to Business need to know about EWA, and how can it help with their organizations?
Yep. Yeah. Those are two great questions, and I'll kind of attack them from two different sides. So what we've seen on the RTP network is a growth related to how people get paid. So instant payroll, EWA, as you mentioned, earned wage access. This is to make funds, your wages available to your employees as they have earned them. But offer that in a flexible and different way. So as they might need it. So small businesses might want to attract multiple levels of talent, multiple levels of employees. And this is a new way to attract that talent without necessarily having to fight just on your salary, right? So it's a benefit to the employee to receive their funds more often. So instead of the traditional, every other week cycle or weekly cycle, it can be drawn down, for example, when the employee might need it on a daily basis or hourly basis, or after a certain activity is done. So after, we typically have the example on the RTP network, we have a lot of ride share apps that use it. And so drivers sometimes like to use it after a ride to pay for their gas. Small businesses can offer the same experience. So after maybe a deal gets done, or after certain activities get accomplished, they can then pay out to their employees based upon that. And so there's an immediate reward, right, to the activities that are being done. And that's just, we think it's a value add to the businesses as a way to differentiate themselves in a market that, we're fighting for talent every day. And then on the flip side, what I'd say for small businesses that we've seen tremendous empowerment, I'll call it, is with the cash flow. So cash flow visibility and cash flow forecasting. There's a lot of activities that small businesses need to do, and usually payments is the least favorite, right? They need to get paid and they want to pay on time, but it's a struggle at least in my experience, to figure out when is cash coming in order to do certain activities. And so the RTP network has a level of certainty because of that confirmation that, if I'm paying out today, it's withdrawn today, it's going to get posted, I can close an invoice, right? Or the same on the receivable side. So it's just a different way to manage your cash flow for small businesses, particularly ones that are growing and need kind of that visibility more and more.
Wow. Again, I'm chatting with Elena Whisler, Senior Vice President of Sales and Relationship Management at the Clearinghouse, again, a U.S.-based payment operations company founded 170 years ago that clears and settles more than $2 trillion each day through wire, ACH, check image, and real-time payments through the RTP network. We've already been chatting a little bit about the RTP network. We've been chatting a little bit about the benefits to small business. And, as we come to a conclusion in our conversation, you mentioned a few minutes ago, Elena, that this month is officially marking the 5-year anniversary of that RTP network. So I'm curious what you've learned over these 5 years, and what can we expect in the next 5 years at the Clearinghouse?
Yeah, great question. So first, I will plug our website, theclearinghouse.org. I think it's a great resource for seeing a little bit of this, what I'm going to talk about the last 5 years, the next 5 years. And so that's theclearinghouse.org. What we've actually seen, the lessons learned, is what we built the RTP network for, to help innovate how payments were done, thinking about, we weren't thinking about payroll. I will say that. And so what's been fascinating to us is seeing how the evolution of on-demand payroll and earned wage access has really accelerated. It is now 20% of the RTP network volume, and it continues to grow alongside the RTP network. So there's always use cases and scenarios in which businesses and individuals do new things with the payment numbers that we're super excited about. So you never know what you're going to get. It's kind of our motto. And we're thrilled to have the networks that are safe and secure and allow that innovation to happen. And then the next 5 years, we are really focusing on layering safety and security and ease of access. So we're looking at how can businesses and individuals use their financial institutions, so banks and credit unions, to transact more, to move money more. What does that take? Well, that might take masking the account number, right? So we call it tokenization, but you're masking the account number in order for businesses to feel more comfortable giving out their account numbers, or individuals to do that. And so that's just one example of we're looking at how do we layer on that safety? How do we layer on adding the ability for documents to be exchanged to information? So that's just a little tidbit.
That's great. Well, I'm looking forward to following everything at the Clearinghouse and definitely staying in contact and bringing you back on real soon. So that's a good segue, again, for you to share that website one more time.
Yeah, it is the clearinghouse.org.
At clearinghouse.org. Well, thanks so much, Elena, Whisler. Appreciate you joining us here on Get Down to Business. We look forward to having you back on. We've got to squeeze in a quick break here on the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. You can find all of our shows from the past 9+ years, as well as get a sneak peek of who's going to be on next week on the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship at shalomklein.com. We'll be right back.